Hello students, how are you doing today? As you know, a variance is the difference between actual and standard costs for each element of cost incurred in production. We have to measure the variances, identify their root causes, and resolve the issue. In this video, we are going to learn about different types of variances in a manufacturing organization. In industry, cost can be broken down into constituents as materials, labor, and overheads. Accordingly, variance analysis can be classified into the following. Number 1, material variances. Number 2, labor variances. And number 3, overhead variances. Material cost variances, the difference between the standard cost of direct materials specified for the output achieved and the actual costs of direct materials used. This variance may be due to the difference in price or usage. Material price variance is the difference between the standard price and actual price of material used. The variance may be due to several reasons like fluctuations in market price, failure to purchase the specified quantity of materials, wrong purchasing policy, etc. Material usage variance is difference between the actual quantity of material consumed and the standard consumption of material for the level of output achieved. This may be due to the use of defective materials, careless usage, theft of materials from the inventory, wastage due to inefficient production methods, etc. Material usage variance is outcome of variances in material mix and material yield. Normally, a manufacturing process uses several different materials, which could be combined in a standard proportion. If actual composition varies from the standard, then we have material mix variance. This is very critical in pharma industry, where costs of raw material are very high when compared to quantity. If the usage of cheaper materials is increased in large proportion, then it leads to the favorable mix variance and vice versa. Material yield variance is the proportion of direct material usage variance. It is the difference between the standard yield specified and the actual yield obtained. Why this variance? It's due to the spoilage of raw materials, low quality of materials, and defective production planning, etc. Labor variance is the difference between standard labor cost and direct labor cost. The analysis and computation of labor variances are quite similar to material variances. Labor cost variance is the difference between the standard direct labor cost specified for the activity achieved and the actual direct labor cost incurred. Whereas an actual labor hour rate differs from standard rates in an organization and it results in labor rate variance. This may be due to changes in basic wage rate due to employing the workers of different grades than specified or simply due to an excessive amount of overtime work. Labor efficiency variance is the difference between the standard labor hours prescribed for production and the actual labor hours. It is also called as labor time variance. Labor efficiency changes may be due to changes in method of operation, insufficiently trained workers, poor working conditions, high attrition rate, etc. Labor efficiency is also segregated into sub-variances like idle time variance, labor mix variance, and labor yield variance. Idle time variance is the difference between labor hours applied and labor hours utilized by the organization. This may be due to shortage of tooling, power failure for which a workstation is available for production but is not used due to etc. This variance arises due to the change in the composition of workers engaged to produce the desired output. This portion of the labor efficiency variance is due to the difference between actual output of worker and the standard output of worker specified. Overhead is the aggregate of indirect material cost, indirect labor cost, and indirect expenses. Overhead variances may rise due to the difference between standard cost of overhead or actual production and the actual overhead cost incurred. Dear students, we have today learned about variance analysis, which is classified into material variances, labor variances, and overhead variances. Further, we have observed how each of the variances are further classified and which will help management in controlling the inefficiencies.